Let's have a conversation about books. This is my March wrap up. I feel like I read a lot in March, but I don't think I was very committed to my TBR. I'm going to go ahead and tell you there was a lot of books that I didn't finish. There was a lot of books that I didn't even start. I kind of allowed myself in March to be very open to stepping outside of what I picked for my TBR jar. Why I'm going to move away from the TBR jars. I know those are popular videos. I know everybody really likes doing those. And I just don't think they're working for me. I have my whole pile of physical books here. I did read some things on Kindle. We're going to go over all of that. This month, we read 19 books. I read 7,207 pages, and I gave a total of 64 stars. That's not too bad for a month's worth of reading. This autobiography was Time of Your Life. This is by Patrick Swayze and his wife Lisa. And I gave that a 4-star. I thought it was really good. It was kind of sad to hear Patrick Swayze reading this, because you know that while he was recording it, he was sick. It's heartbreaking to kind of hear him in that light. But it was still 4 stars. There was The Wreckage of Us by Brittany C. Cherry. I gave this one 3 stars. It was not one of her better books. I think sometimes I go into Brittany Cherry books expecting it to be like The Air He Breathed. It was okay. It was in and out. I don't remember it, like, if that tells you anything. It was just a 3-star read. I remember thinking it was okay. I just don't remember anything else about it. This next book, we're not going to go into detail. I had somebody ask me if I've read it. I said I didn't. They said, well, I looked it up. Would you, do you know someone who has, so I can ask them what it was about? And I pretty much told them I'd be willing to read it for them because I never had. And I pre-read this book for someone whose 16-year-old daughter wanted to read it. A 16-year-old wanted to read this because her friends at school were reading this book. And it is Credence by Penelope Douglas. And, there's going to be quite a few books this month I talk about. I need to start living by the phrase, don't say anything at all if you have nothing nice to say, period. I have nothing nice to say about Credence. I wouldn't recommend this book to an adult. I certainly wouldn't recommend this book to impressionable children. I feel like Penelope Douglas pushed boundaries on purpose just to see how far she could get in. And it was kind of like, Penelope Douglas isn't a bad author, so why do that? I don't know. Okay, I just can't. Credence is a no-go for me. A no-go. I did give it a star because I did read it, but that's it. 2 books that I read on Kindle were Stephanie Archer's Vancouver Storm series, and it was Behind the Net and The Fake Out. Behind the Net ended up being a 3-star for me, and The Fake Out ended up being a 4-star. I really loved the male main character of The Fake Out. He was funny, he was charming, he was adorable. So we love him. Then I read Stephanie Archer's That Kind of Guy, which was a small town romance. It's not a hockey romance. It is a part of the Queen Cove series, and it was okay. I am going to continue on that series. I gave that a 3-star. Again, it was just okay. These are all books that are kind of, they didn't make a long-lasting impression, but they weren't terrible books to read. I think that pretty much wraps up Kindle. We will go ahead and get the Unhoneymooners out of the way. This was on my TBR last month. This is Christina Lauren. I did not get to this book, so we're not even going to talk about it. Hopefully in the future I get to it and we can talk about it. The next one I got to was Alex Approximately by Jen Bennett. Again, I just didn't get to it. I didn't feel like it, if we're honest. I looked at these books. I even think I started the Unhoneymooners, and I got like 6 pages in, and I was like, I'm not feeling this, and I don't want to read a book that I'm not feeling because I don't want to unfairly criticize it. So those were not even touched. We're going to add them back on the bookshelf, and maybe one day they'll pop back up. The next book we're going to talk about is Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I hate this book. Icebreaker, Wildfire. I know that people loved this book. I thought maybe when I read it, because I read it before Ashlyn and it was supposed to be a buddy read for us, I thought, well, maybe I'm not the age group for this book. So I held off judgment. She read it. She didn't like it. We talk about books all the time, and we kind of joke about Wattpad books, but if anything reminded me of a Wattpad book, it was Icebreaker. I gave Icebreaker 1 star. I finished it. I really should have just stopped reading it when I was ahead of the game, but I really wanted to give it a try because everybody was talking about how much they love that book. And for that reason, I did not pick up Wildfire by Hannah Grace. Maybe one day I will get back into it, but that is not today. The next book we're going to talk about real quick is Accidental Magic by Iris Beaglehole. That's a tongue twister. This is the Myrtlewood Mysteries 1. I wanted to give this a try. I'm not a huge mystery thriller horror person, but I knew that there might be like it's small town vibes with some, you know, like random storyline love interest maybe. So I wanted to give this one a try. Unfortunately, I did not finish this, so I did not rate it. I don't think I'm going to give up on it. I think I'm going to pick it up later and see if my mood affected my read with this. A lot of the writing is feels very youthful. And then the way that the daughter acts in this book towards the mother comes off as very disrespectful, almost like she's the mother. And that might be what she's going for. But as a mother of teenagers, it would not fly for me, even if I was like forgetful and, you know, on the ditzier side. You don't. I think that left kind of a bad taste in my mouth. I made it to page 65. I picked up this book 3 times. 3 times, and I got to 65. The last one before we get to the physical books that I have sitting here that I did read and I did get through, I want to talk about The Addicted to You by Krista and Becky Ritchie. I made it to page 97 of this book, and I'm mentioning that because I want you guys to know I don't dislike this book. I actually quite love it. However, I think this is why it's important to know your triggers. It's important to know your boundaries when it comes to those triggers. This book is about sex addiction. This book is about alcohol addiction. Could not make it through any more of this book without my heart just breaking and everything feeling very real. You know, we make it no secret around here that my past is not sunshine and rainbows. Garrett is a recovering alcoholic. So I cherish what I have read in this book so far. I think they've done a wonderful job with the subject matter. I think Lily and Lo are beautiful people from what I've read so far. But however, I need to be in the headspace to actually read this book. And in order for me to continue on in the series, I feel like I need to read this one first before I move on, even to the Calloway sisters. So I am not DNFing this book. I think I'm just going to pick it up when I'm in a better headspace. It's okay to know your limits. Even when you're reading fiction, it is perfectly fine to know that you just can't read something even if you do like it. I read Curves for Days. This is written by Laura Moore. I gave this a 3-star. This was not a terrible read. This one is Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. This was on my TBR for March. I gave Birthday Girl a 2-star. I don't think I would recommend this. You guys, it's been a minute. I was in the middle of recording and everybody in my house came home. Instead of trying to shoo them out and get them out of here, I just stopped recording. My husband brought food. It is pepperoni cauliflower pizza. I love it. So I do not remember where I was. I think I was leaving off with Birthday Girl. I was talking about Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas, right? Yeah. Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. Let's talk about Night Shift by Annie Crown. This is about a couple of kids who go to college. They are college students, and she is a librarian and he's like a hotshot basketball player, And they end up meeting in the library and like having this intense moment, and then it evolves from there. And this got 3 stars for me. There's one scene where, this is a spoiler, but there's one scene where she is the one that has to apologize to him at the end of the book. And I really loved how they did that. I thought that was really cute. It's the moment that stands out in the book for me. Next up, I read Jennifer Lynn Barnes, the first in the Natural series. I liked this a lot. I really did like it. It was quick, it was easy, and I think it was the perfect palate cleanser for me. This is YA. There's no spice in it. I gave this 4 stars, so I might try the Inheritance game next. The next one that I'm going to talk about is Dungeons and Drama. This is by Christy Boyce. I loved this. I thought this was so cute. This was 5 stars. This is the perfect, if you want your teenagers to read a romance, but you don't want them to have the spice, this was the perfect book for that. I like this so much that I bought her other 2 books. Now we're going to get into the Mia Sheridan rabbit hole that I dove into head first last month. And I decided to pick up Archer's Voice. I'd had this for a while. I just hadn't read it yet. My cousin Caitlin had picked up the book to read, and she's like, 5 stars. 5 stars. And I was like, oh, but then another cousin was already reading it. And so I decided to go ahead and just add it to my March TBR. You guys, Archer is like, he's like ultimate book boyfriend. There was nothing bad about this book. Mia Sheridan told a story, and she told it very well. It's hard for me to communicate my thoughts and my feelings on this book. I still sit with this book and how I feel about it and how I take it in. This is up there for me with June 1st as far as love stories go and how powerful they can be. 1000%, if I could give this book 10 stars, I would give it 10 stars. Unfortunately, there's only 5 on the star rating system, so it gets 5. But I cried. I almost DNF'd this book. If you read this book, you know what I'm talking about, but there's one part where I was done. I was done. I put this book down and I wasn't going to pick it up. And I'm like, come on. I couldn't get enough of it. Which brings me to Travis. I gave Travis 3 stars. But here's why. I feel like I wanted to read Travis because I really loved the universe in Archer's Voice. He is also one of the characters that you either love or you hate in Archer's Voice. So, but you see peaks of Archer and Bree in this book. I really actually loved. I love this book. I like Travis. I didn't think he was the world's worst person. I feel like in the conversations we had about this book in Archer's Voice, you either couldn't stand Travis and you were not going to forgive him, or you were going to understand where he was coming from. You could understand where he was coming from and you could forgive him. I understood where he was coming from. I understood it wasn't all him. Only gave it a 3 star because to me, while Archer's Voice was deeply emotional and I fell in love with Archer myself. Like, that's how beautifully written this book was. If Archer was a real man, I probably would fall over backwards for him. Travis is a good character. I really like Travis. I liked his growth. The story is just a good story. Really and honestly, it probably verged more on a 4-star read for me, but I did go ahead and give it 3 stars, and I'm going to tell you, I deducted a star for the dumbest reason. Her name is Haven. The FMC in this book, her name is Haven, and that drove me nuts. It didn't stop me from wanting to jump on my Mia Sheridan bullshit, though. Mia Sheridan wrote Stinger, and I read this, and I love this. This is about a male porn star who meets a student lawyer at a convention in Vegas, and they have the best time together, and it just kind of follows their life and their separation, and they're coming back together. I really like Carson Stinger in this one too, and I actually really like Grace Hamilton in this one. This was also a 3-star read for me. It was good. It verged on 4-star. If I was in the habit of doing like 3.75 stars, that's probably where Travis and Stinger would fall, but it's just a 3-star read, and that's it. That is it for everything that I read in March. I did a lot of reading. So 24 total books attempted in March, and I read 19 of them. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. We've accomplished what we came here for in this video. It's getting long. I don't want to mumble on anymore. I just want to say thank you guys for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.